how do you want me to pronounce it? I don't know, maybe you could type something. Hi, Alex. Hello. Let people join for a second before I get started. Hello, everyone. Hey, Hugo. Hi. I see more people joining. Today I'm talking about today's main topic is talking about how to improve your conversational English. Hi. Hi, G. Thank you, Hugo. Yes, I thought if I'm going to be talking live and I have this beautiful Christmas tree, then I should do my live in front of it. I think we should embrace the Christmas season. Also, actually, I usually do my lives outside. The sound is a lot better and the lighting is better. That's why I like to do it outside. But today it is so cold and it's raining, and I decided, no, I'm going to sit in front of my Christmas tree. So that's why I'm inside. I hope the sound is okay for you all. I chose a good topic. Yes, thank you. I think so because I get so many questions about how do I improve my speaking? How can I get better at having conversations in English? Those are questions I receive a lot. So that's what I want to talk about. Okay, great, Hugo. Thank you. The sound is okay. Good. I hear a little bit of an echo. So if it's good for you, it's good for me. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Okay, it's a couple minutes past 3 o'clock. I said I would get started at 3 o'clock. So we're going to be talking about how to improve your speaking, your conversational English. So I am, I created a document. Some of you already know. I created a document that covers 5 strategies. It talks about 5 strategies for improving your conversational English. So I have it's all printed out and I have it right here. So I'll talk about those strategies a little bit and I'll also answer any questions you have. I have so many different people from so many different countries who follow me, and we're all in very different situations. There are some people who follow me who live in the United States and who are trying to learn English in the United States. There are other people who live in other English speaking countries. And so their experience and their opportunities to speak and improve their conversational English will be different from someone who lives in a non-English speaking country where they don't speak English and where they don't interact or they don't meet people who speak English very often. In that case, we really have to take advantage of the internet. Hungary, wonderful. Hi, welcome from Verga Grande. Hi, Jeremy. Welcome. Yeah, so I have some people here, it looks like, who do not live in English speaking countries. So it is harder. It is harder to practice. It is harder to practice in another. Hi from Miami. There's so many Spanish speakers in Miami. But there are English speakers as well. Yeah. So again, if you have specific questions about improving conversational English, then feel free to leave a comment. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the strategies that I found for improving conversational English. And these ways are really, they're mostly, if not all, totally free. So that's really important to me that I'm giving opportunities that aren't for, that you don't necessarily have to pay. ¿Cómo estás? Estoy bien. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm from Texas, Dallas. Fantastic. Okay, so the first strategy I want to talk about um, is a strategy that I made a video about yesterday. So I posted a video yesterday on my TikTok account about this strategy. And I really like this strategy, especially for adults who maybe do not need to take a test. So there are people who, um, there are people who just need English for functioning in society or social reasons. Maybe they just need to, they need to get a promotion, for example, but they may not need to take a test. So um, that strategy is to focus on high frequency conversations. Okay, so I'll explain what that is. So if you've been learning English a while, if you have been studying languages, you've probably heard this term high frequency words. And so the idea is when you're trying to learn a language, and each language has thousands and thousands of words. I don't know every English word. I have to look up things all the time in the dictionary in English. And I have always spoken English. So the idea is to focus on words that are the most important, the words that are used the most in conversation or in writing, whichever words are most common. So the idea of focusing on high frequency conversations is to identify the types of situations that you will be in and needing to speak English. So for example, I have a student who is a salesperson. This is someone I'm tutoring. He's a salesperson. And so the reason that he wants to learn English is because he needs to try to make sales with native English speakers. And so what we have done, hi from Argentina, hi, Evelyn. So what I have done with him is we have begun practicing sales conversations. I will say, okay, talk to me like as if you were talking to a client or someone that you need to be selling things to. And we practice that back and forth, him and I. And so that is our high frequency conversation. He knows I need English because I need to make sales. I need to sell things to English speakers. And so what we do is we practice those conversations. So that's strategy one. That's the first strategy to improve your conversational English, is to focus on conversations that you know that you need. Okay, any questions? So if you have any questions about that, let me know about high frequency conversations. All right, so let's talk about another strategy then. If no one has any questions, send a question whenever you want. Thank you for the likes. Okay, so the second strategy for improving your conversational English, which is, I think a lot of people find this one very stressful, is finding a language partner, right? Sorry, I'm just Getting rid of trolls here. Um, so that one is kind of obvious, but it's one of the most challenging to find a language exchange partner. So I'll give you a couple tips that have worked for me in finding um, language exchange partners. If you have English speaking friends, you may have someone who is willing to just talk to you in English, right? Who just wants to chat. They don't need to be paid. That's great, but not all of us have people like that in our lives. So, another one you can do is you can find one online. So, I have a couple resources here for you if you're interested. The one that I have used a lot is called, the one that I used when I was learning Spanish is called Hello Talk. And it's free as long as you're only learning one language. So the more languages you add, you have to pay, but it's free if it's just one. And I don't work for them, they don't give me money. I just have used it and found some good language partners. But what you do is you have the app connects you with people who want to learn your language and already speak the language you want to learn. So you interact with people. So, for example, for me, I was learning Spanish, and so I started having conversations and getting to know people who spoke Spanish as a native and wanted to learn English. And I actually still have a few, I started that maybe 3, 4 years ago on Hello Talk. I still talk to a few people that I met there. So that was an awesome resource for me. Let's see, I try to have conversation a lot and that works, but how hard is to understand native people? Yes, it is hard to understand native people. I have I do have a strategy that I think will help, especially with that. Okay, with the listening. So hang on, hold on. I just did a video about that. Yeah. So yeah, Hello Talk is one place where you can find an exchange partner for free. Um, so Hello Talk is one I've used. There's also Tandem, TANDEM.net. I have not used that one, but it's supposed to be good. Another place you can find partners is on Meetup. If you're familiar with Meetup, MEETUP, that's where you can find groups. So you can go on there onto the website and find language practice groups, conversation groups. So depending on where you are, it will be easier or harder to find groups. Okay. Yes, it's a good idea. Thank you, Hugo. Larry, I don't understand what your question is. Um, yeah, so I've covered two strategies so far. The first one is focusing on high frequency conversations, and the second one is finding a language exchange partner. And I gave a few websites for that. Okay, and again, I said this at the beginning, but I know I have more people. Um, I am reading from, this is a document and it's in color online. It's black and white here. I made a document of 5 strategies to improve your conversational English. So right now I'm just telling you what they are. But if you want them written down, then you can go to my profile and click the link and get one for yourself. But that's what I'm talking about now. I'm stealing from my own document. So that's the second one. John Fay, what's the difference between how about and what about? You know what? I think I did a video on that. I think you've asked me that question before, John. Excuse me. And I think I did a video. I need to find that for you. Leave a comment somewhere, John, and I will remember to find that video for you. Okay. All right. Strategy number 3. Ways to improve your conversational English. We have 5, and I'm on number 3. Yeah, you can't commit infringement because you wrote those documents. Yes, that's right. I can't steal ideas from myself. I can't steal from myself. Please write app name. Yes, can I do that here? I've never commented on my own thing. Let me see if I can write. Oh, I can write a comment. Okay, here we go. I'm putting it in here. So we have Hello Talk is the app that I have used, the Exchange app. Look at that. I didn't even know I could do that. The other one that I've seen is Tandem. That's the other one. And for physical meet, to meet, actually there may be virtual ones too. But the website you can go to find groups is Meetup. Okay? All right. So those are what I just typed in the chat, I just typed in the chat about those 3 websites that you can maybe find some language exchange partners. Excuse me. My throat, it's probably because this morning I taught a 3-hour class this morning. I was teaching for 3 hours this morning, so I think my voice is a little mad at me. All right, so the third strategy is related. It's related to the second one, and that is to find communities of English speakers. So again, we're talking. Meetup is one of those places. Yes, 3 hours. I taught a 3-hour class this morning. It has to do with finding interesting communities. So this is something that I think is really important for language learners in general, and for motivation especially, because I think that as language learners, we get used to reading textbooks, studying English for the sake of, or for the sake of learning English. I'm trying to think of a more simpler way to say that. We get very caught up in or very absorbed in just learning English. And I think that oftentimes we often forget that we can do a lot of the other things that we enjoy in the other language. So what I'm saying is that there are English speakers who are interested in the same things you are. And I mean things that are not just language learning. So, for example, what's something I really enjoy? I really love learning languages, but I really like books. Okay, so something I really enjoy is I really love to read. And so what I did when I was learning Spanish is I joined a book club in Facebook. And so what this allowed me to do is to stay motivated and be in a community of people who are a lot like me, but are always speaking the language that I want to learn. So if you're finding those communities, that's a great way to practice, to just keep it in your mind, and it will really motivate you to communicate. So if someone is talking about, for example, my favorite book, I want to say something. I want to, comment on that. And so that's a great way to get ourselves speaking and conversing with other people. Of course, a lot of that is online. Speaking is a lot different than typing, but sometimes there's live events that you can join. Sometimes there's communities in person. It really depends on where you are. I'm good actually. I kind of miss being in class. Yeah. Yeah, um I have been teaching online. I've been teaching ESL, English as a Second Language, online for the past few months. And I just learned that in January, I'm going to be in a classroom. And I'm really excited, but at the same time, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's been so long since I was in a classroom. I speak four languages, but you're a great person that people should listen to. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Any questions about that? Let's see. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, along with finding communities online, if you do live in an English speaking country, you can do some volunteering. You can volunteer somewhere. Go to a food bank, you know, help out the community. Help the community with something by being there in person. So that's another option. You can also attend classes if you live in an English speaking country. Okay. Sorry, just muting my trolls. I'm also a doctor with a secondary in psychiatry to pick jurors. Wow, that's intense. Thanks for being here. All right. Strategy number 4. Strategy number 4, improving your conversational English. So someone earlier, excuse me, someone earlier mentioned not being able to understand native speakers, and that is a big problem when it comes to conversation. I understand that when I've started um, when I started to speak to people in another language, what often happened is that I would feel really scared because, not necessarily because I felt like I couldn't communicate, but because I felt like I wouldn't be able to understand what people said to me. So I understand that fear and that difficulty. Um, so one of my suggestions is, if you are worried and you want to improve your conversational listening skills in particular, hi teacher, hi. Um, and that is to practice listening to the things that will help you understand conversations. Of course, that is conversations. So, for example, if you decide that you want to practice your listening skills for conversation and you go to YouTube or someplace and you're trying to find something to listen to, I recommend that you choose, in particular, conversational videos and not just interviews, right? Interviews are great, but natural conversation, um, just people talking to each other without a script. Okay, so that's much different than some situations. So, for example, I love watching TED Talks. TED Talks are a wonderful way to practice listening and learn things. Okay, but it's not everyday conversational English. So, again, find conversations to listen to. One place where you can find conversations to listen to is podcasts. So I actually found, excuse me, I found 2 podcasts that are very conversational. So those podcasts are All Ears English and the Real Life English Podcast. So I'll type those down if you're interested in that. Because now I've discovered I can do this. All ears. And again, I don't know them. I just did a search. All Ears English and the Real Life English podcast. At least one of these podcasts, I'm trying to remember which one. At least one of those podcasts, one of the hosts is from the United States and one is from Britain. So there's two, they're talking to each other, so you can really hear those differences. So those are two conversational podcasts. Yes, that's exactly what I need. Real life conversations. Yes. I'm going to grab my tea that I left over there because my throat keeps messing me up while I'm trying to talk. So you can look at my beautiful Christmas tree for a moment while I get my tea. I'm coming back, I promise. Okay. I have my Santa mug here while we continue our conversation. Yes, Christmas, Christmas. Yep, that 3-hour class really got my throat messed up. See, it's a snowman. Oh, and I spilled some tea. All right. Yes, so real life conversations on YouTube. Thank you very much. Nice Christmas tree. All right, we only have one more. Does anyone have any questions before I continue? I've got one more strategy for you. Okay, then let's keep going. Okay, the last technique, and this is more, last strategy, and this is more of a, like speaking pronunciation technique. I mean, it will also help your listening, is to try recording yourself or using the imitation technique. So what this involves, so first let's start with recording yourself. If you find that, if you discover that you have other people have a really hard time understanding you in a conversation. So if people are not understanding you, then one way to identify why is to record yourself. Because sometimes we don't understand how we sound until we hear ourselves recorded. So when I started making videos, I was, on TikTok, I was so surprised by my own voice. I did not understand how I sounded. And now I have a much better, understanding, and I'm used to it, or I'm accustomed to hearing myself speak. But if you're not used to that, then I recommend trying to record yourself, because you may be able to hear yourself and understand, oh, that's why they can't understand me. Whatever that reason is. So just, pick something up. There are recordings, you can pick up something, a transcript, for example, from something, maybe a TED Talk, and you can record yourself reading it. And then you can go back and compare your recording of your voice to the person who actually said it. And that's a great way to start seeing your own pronunciation and how you speak in a more objective way. Okay. The second way there, along with recording yourself, is the imitation technique. And this one is pretty new to me. I just recently discovered this one. And you can actually go on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and type in English imitation exercises, then you can find these videos that will walk you through this. It will guide you through it. And so it'll show maybe a movie, for example, and it will show you a part of it, and then it will have you repeat it. And so you keep repeating without focusing on the meaning. You're not focusing on the meaning necessarily. You're just trying to repeat. You're trying to sound like the native speaker. And so you just keep going, keep going, keep going until you're saying it with the speaker. So this is great pronunciation practice, but it's also great speaking practice. It's also great listening practice, because in doing that, you're going to start learning the rhythm of English. You're going to get a better sense of those things that make English difficult to understand. And I have done a few videos on that as well, on English as a stress-timed language. Most, not all, most languages in the world are syllable-timed languages. And so the fact that English is a stress-timed language really it's very strange for people who are not used to that type of language. So this imitation technique will help you understand that rhythm. And the rhythm of English is extremely important for understanding English, for being able to hear well. Okay? I will watch your videos. Great. Thank you. That's Ma Gonzalez. Yes, exactly. You're exactly right. Sometimes we think, oh, my pronunciation isn't that bad. But then when we record ourselves and listen to it again, especially if we're listening to it, comparing it to a native speaker or someone who speaks better than us, suddenly you see it. My first English teacher freshman year told me to read it out loud. Yes, reading out loud is a great way to practice as well. Any other questions I just went through and said again, I have this document. I just talked about the 5 strategies. These are my strategies that I wrote down. I created a document of them. You can find it in my profile if you would like a copy. If not, then I have said them here. After I'm done with this live recording, I'm going to put it on YouTube. So if you didn't hear everything, if you didn't hear all 5 strategies, and you would rather listen to me say them than get the document from my profile, then you can find it on YouTube soon. Okay? Any questions? Just going to drink my tea. You can ask me questions about conversation. You can ask me questions about grammar. Let me know if there's a video you would like to see. After I put it on YouTube, what are you going to do? I don't know if I understand the question, but I'm going to put it on YouTube, and I will try to put subtitles on it. That's really important to me, to have good subtitles. I think I missed that with my last video I posted, but any English questions anyone has? Any questions about speaking, conversation, if you need any recommendations. I already did I guess it was probably about a month ago now. I did um, a video, a live, about getting over or overcoming the fear of speaking in English. So this live was more about the strategies. I'm not talking about some of those emotional factors. I talk a little bit more about the emotional factors of getting the bravery to speak in English in another live video. You can find that one on YouTube as well. I like when you do phonetic TikToks. Oh yeah, great. I love doing those. Um, so just let me know. Let me know if there is one in particular, if there are some sounds you would like me to make videos about, because I love doing that. Yeah. Any other questions? I hit 30 minutes. Wow, pretty quickly and easily. It's great to see everyone. I'm gonna stay just one more minute because I like answering your questions. Oh, look, oh my goodness. I said at the beginning of this live that I usually do my videos outside, and because I like the sound and the lighting, but it's been gray and rainy and cold. But right now I see the sun. The sun just appeared. But that's great because that means I'm going to go outside and probably record some TikTok videos. Nice to see you. Oh no, yeah. Nice to see you too. Ma Gonzalez. Yeah. Yes, you can look it up on YouTube. If you follow me, do you follow me on Instagram, Ma Gonzalez? I think maybe you do. If you do, I will certainly post on Instagram when that video is there. I will post that in my stories. Some advice about thinking like American speakers. What do you mean, Antonio? What do you mean by some advice about thinking like American speakers? Can you clarify the question? If you mean how to speak like American speakers, um, the key is really to, let's see, think in English. Do you mean think in English, maybe? Um, yeah, okay, so I'll answer both of those questions. So to make sure I answer correctly. And so the first question I'll answer is how do you speak? Like, how do you develop a North American um, pronunciation? Excuse me. Um, that really just make sure you are listening to that accent all the time. You can use the imitation technique that I just talked about to imitate over and over and over again. And you can find those imitation exercises on YouTube or anywhere. You can make them yourself, but if you want some guidance, that's a great way. Thinking, now the answer of thinking. Oh, when I speak English, always thinking in Spanish. Yes, that's a great question. And that's hard because how do I stop thinking in my native language is the question. How do I start thinking in English? That's a hard question because We don't, I often feel like we don't have that much control over our thoughts all the time. Oh, thank you for the roses. We don't have that much control over how we think. It's hard to control the way that we think. Um, and so our brains are used to, they're accustomed to thinking in our native language. So, one thing that has worked for me, and it might sound a little silly, but this is what has worked for me, is actually mindfully, um, yeah, it's kind of like mindfulness, really. If you know what mindfulness is, where you have to be very conscious of what you're doing in your brain and make and really try hard, be be aware of what is happening in your brain and force yourself not to. I know it sounds weird, but that has helped me. Um, just noticing when I'm thinking in English and saying, no, I'm just going to respond in Spanish. So it's not necessarily this forcing of speak in, I'm not going to think in English. It can also just be, I need to trust myself and my ability to speak this language. And so really I think the reason we translate in our brains is because because we're kind of nervous, we don't really trust that we're speaking well or correctly. And so starting to trust ourselves more and our ability and being mindful about it, I think helps. That's my that's my advice on that. I hope it helps. Um, at times I don't know if I said it in English or Spanish. Yeah, that happens. The same thing happens to me in Spanish too, because I speak Spanish. Yeah, that happens to me as well. But it's also good. That's a good sign. If you don't know if it was in English or Spanish, that means that it's coming, it's coming naturally and quickly to you. I think that's good. Yeah, sometimes our brain switches between Spanish and English. Yeah, the same thing happens to me. The same thing happens to me. That's normal. What's nice, at least when we're talking about Spanish, is at least here in the United States, and I think this is the same in Central and South America as well. It seems like Spanglish is its own language, and so when I'm talking to Spanish speakers, English is just part of the conversation. And that's kind of nice. I like that because so many Spanish speakers speak English. So, yeah, if you get two people who speak two of the same language, yeah, Spanglish. So, if you have two people who both speak the same two languages, I think that's normal. But yeah, it does feel that way. Apollo, yeah. I do teach in a college. I teach in a college. I teach adult English. Okay, any other questions, anyone? Kind of stayed longer. I actually have some assignments for this program that I'm in to do. Maybe I'm just procrastinating by sitting here. I don't really want to do it, my work. But yeah, I yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm probably gonna go outside and I don't know what TikTok I'm gonna make. So let me know if you have something. Put a comment somewhere. And yeah, I will talk to you all soon. I hope these strategies helped you. I'll post on YouTube. Follow if you haven't already. And we will be in touch. Bye. Thank you, Hugo. Bye.